because sharing is caring, right? So, CPI, and then obviously we have PPI today. I don't know. I think the PPI could be a little bit higher than expectation, but we'll see. Irregardless, I don't think it matters. Okay. That's the reality. I don't think it really matters at this point. I mean, fanboy Tommy, basically, and I agree 100%. I mean, there's a ton of cash, and we know that there's billions and billions that has to be put to work. Has it been put to work? I don't know. We get the 13Fs dropping, which is so much fun. I love that when they drop. A lot of fun. With that said, let's look at the macro overnight stuff that happened. JD out of Japan. GDP growth. I mean, this is, I don't know if I'm surprised by this. I am surprised by this mainly because normally the forecasts are pretty spot on. And to be this far off is a little bit, wow, right? And then you can see here the index, hotter, really interesting. Wage price out of Australia, I mean, it's hotter than expected. And out of China, we saw that the industrial production better than expected. Retail sales better than expected. Fixed asset investments a little bit softer. Unemployment rate. And then we have Indonesia. And then obviously you can see here exports contracting, but not as bad. And imports down a lot as well.
With a revenue of 2.6 billion.
Okay. Capacity utilization as well. You can see out of Japan a little bit. The final number, this is a final number, a little bit better than expected. And then you can see there. UK, special unto its own self, inflation rate coming in a little bit, 4.9. This has been one of the hottest out there. 4.6 right now, core inflation, 5.7. And then you can see right there, PPI. Their PPI was really, as expected, softer. So this was a little bit higher. The input was a little bit higher. Output, right, was better. Retail sales, and here we have India, balance of trade, yada, yada, yada. Mortgage back, right, 7.61, same, right? And then you have refinancing going on, applications. So we see more as rates are coming in a little bit better. Applications, PPI, like I say, 0.1. I don't know if it gets there, but this retail sales is going to be really interesting. I bought, and I mentioned this, as a bounce trade. So I looked at oversold sectors. So I'm in transports, I'm in retail right now, and basically up quite a bit on that. I don't know where we go from here, but this is going to be an interesting number. We don't want it too hot, okay, but we don't want it too soft. And here's the core PPI, yada, yada, and then you know the drill. X food, X energy, yeah. So a lot of data we have to digest today. We do have a Fed head talking about inventories. That'll be interesting. The ideal narrative obviously is for inventories to continue to decline. And then obviously then you would see that would be a nice little tailwind for a lot of these businesses on the manufacturing side to build up inventories. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of at least on the inventory side. It'll be interesting. And then we have the EIA. Earnings. Let's take a peek. Well, Target, right? Twins have shouted that I'm actually in really, really crazy ass cheap January 2025 calls on Target. That's how I played it. I know it's like really 40 cents with a delta of, well, it's mainly time, but a delta of 03, and I paid 44 cents, and basically it's already double plus this morning for me. TJX out, they lowered guidance, but they beat. Autopart, same thing, lowering guidance. Sim integrated JD. Look, there's a reason why JD is where JD is, okay? And you're better served in some of these other ones. You look at XPB. I told you yesterday, right, that there was an interesting accumulation going on here. We'll see. I mean, it was sold off. We'll see. But it was bought up into, so. We'll see. CTLT, Catalan. So we got some guidance raising, lowering. I mean, we're getting pretty much, well, we'll see with the semis, right? That'll be the fun, right? This is a 5-year going forward implied move. Okay. And here you see it right here. So I don't. This is what they're implying, that this is what it was, this is where it's at. God bless, I don't see how that happens, to be honest with you, but what can I tell you? See if this populates, if not. All right, so let's have a little fun, okay? This is for the third quarter. Okay, so these are the largest hedge fund buys. Berkshire, Microsoft, Apple, and it shows you which one's doing it. Apple, Amazon, right? IVV, and then that's the largest sales was Apple. Now this is really interesting, right? And this was Bank of America. But it kind of shows you Apple, Microsoft, really interesting stuff here. So look, I mean, at what point, well, like I say, there's a lot of cash on the sidelines. We know this, and it'll be, I said this in October, in the middle of October, when we had the hedges on, and I took them most of them off, right? You cannot mess with this market seasonality wise going into, end of the year. It's just not how it works. And especially when you had all that tax loss harvesting and, the drill. Okay, US economy is solid, watch these consumer stocks. So I posted earlier about, okay, well, the whole narrative, right? Unemployment, deflation, recession. Okay, look, everything we see, the labor market isn't as tight, but it's there, that the demand, okay? The GDP is still, steady, stable. That's what we want to see. The more deflationary cycle construct is starting to pan out. But the reality is, okay, then it gets to asset classes, right? And then you can see, gold, obviously silver, that are highly sensitive to interest rates, right? Are screaming. And then you've got rotation going on. It's going to be interesting. So this is important. Okay, and I want to tell you this, and this is what we need. This dude, even though he basically filed lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, he basically understood that in order to get this done, he needed the Democrats on board, because the resolution he put forward needed a 2/3 vote. So he was not dependent on the few it was the many in order to get this passed. And it was 336 to 95. Well, guess what? Okay. That includes the Democrats. Okay. And this is why it was the Democrats who got this through, not the Republicans. This is Civics 101, and this is the way it used to be. Okay. This, going forward with, dictating this and that, you serve the people. This is the fact that, anyways, like I say, we disagree on a lot of stuff, but how he did this was brilliant. Okay. And this is what he's known for, procedural wise, understanding the mechanisms involved. So whatever. Elusive soft landing is coming, I guess so. Housing inflation is the worst, we know. But a lot of people, you just plop down a lot of cash. That's it. Urges investors to heed the risk of a deflationary world. Okay, she's talking about that. Look, I don't know. For the short term, look, deflationary cycles are bad, right, for multiple asset classes, except for bonds, right? And then the inverse would be the stock market. But the reality still is, when you have, we've beat this horse to a pulp, okay, in terms of how you had to be in companies that make money, okay, have cash, okay, and can grow. It's that simple. And a lot of these names that were taken to the woodshed off of, tax loss harvesting, rebalancing, all that stuff. Okay. It was a no-brainer for me on a lot of these things. But I do, like I say, I do things a little bit like, for an example, okay, Uber. I got so many emails, PMs, DMs about how I felt about Uber. I said, I love it, I'm buying, I love it, I'm buying, I love it, I'm buying. And it, these are things that, okay, you just basically have to understand a lot of this stuff. Now, does that mean I am seriously looking at this spread, the Qs against the SPY that I showed you? I'm seriously looking at that spread, and I'll keep you posted if I enact it. Okay, but it's something that I am looking at, right? And we'll go through that. The webinar is at the end of the month, and it's open to the whole everyone. It's not, you don't have to be a member. So for those of you listening on YouTube, I'm doing a webinar on hedging, up and down, right? So see how that plays out, right? Well, here we go. Cool inflation, mortgage pulse, San Fran meet, yeah, target, big profit, Tell me, boy. There's so much money in the silence that the inflows into UN are going to create a lot of market breath. God bless. Breath, breath, breath. We, in this cycle right now, I will say this again, the MAG 7 will not, there will be leadership rotation, okay, out of the MAG 7 as the breath continues to come in, broad now. When you have so many tech names on the Qs, okay, hitting 52-week lows, more so than the Russell. What does that tell you? I mean, seriously, what does it tell you? Oh my goodness gracious, friends, our IWM 180 is almost there. Anyways, I agree with him. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If we're really going to rip, it's going to be, you're going to have massive day after day after day after day of so much where people are forced on the FOMO side. They have to buy, right? So I like it, whatever. I don't know what this is about, but that's what he's got. IEP, icon, whatever. All right, so here we go. This is important. All right. The FMS sentiment still bearish, though no longer extremely bearish. Okay, so when you look at its totality, okay, and you look at growth, cash, equity allocation, look at where we are. Choo-choo. I mean, I'm just saying. Look at where we are. And the only way we could be here is obviously the cash levels as well as the allocation. Okay. I'm just saying, look at where we are. So if you think that we're overbought, do not pick a top in this market. That's all I have to say. I mean, it's Keynesian 101. You will go bankrupt shorting a market like this. And what happened yesterday? The people who've been basically putting on, because of the extension hedges, puts, buying leverage inverse ETFs, they bought more. Now, this is what they do, and they will do this for months and months and months. And they'll keep averaging and averaging and averaging when statistically there will be a pullback in the market, right? And they keep improving their average, they're in average and average. So they make it seem like, okay, they've been right, but they missed the rally. But then they say they're right on the downside. This is just a friggin' ass beautiful chart. Look at this. I gotta keep this. This is I gotta keep. I love that. Okay. Snow. I'm in snow. I mean, this is another one. Why wouldn't I buy snow? I mean, high beta, HIBL. These are all things that I want to do, right? So we'll see. Kind of real retail sales, boots on the ground, industrials grow faster. Let's see, and this was earlier about the NVIDIA chip, not much going out there. Okay, so here's the Mag 7 about to break out. I still think the best bang for your buck right now, I know, but if you look at like an SMCI, okay, versus an NVIDIA, right, or whatever, okay, you can see the outperformance right now, okay? And if you look in terms of, what I'm making money in, like today, I'm making money in yen. It's up 5.42%. Okay, Boyle, I'm back in, equal weight, I haven't done anything yet. OETL, up 4%, HIBL, PDD, Soxel, Generac. I'm up almost 30% on this trade. I'm not selling, just not selling. Okay, these are the things I'm talking to you about because the leadership is as breadth spreads out, right? The leadership will rotate as well. Okay, I mean, it's just fun stuff. Okay, I'll say, okay, so Avi Gilbert, he's a really bright man. Okay, very, very bright, but he thinks there's a financial crisis coming. But I think he's wrong, and we'll see. But this is domestically, okay, the question then is globally. That's a different narrative. Okay, and I don't know how I feel about that right now. Well, I find it fun to look at the 13 S&Gs, but that's my personal opinion. Do I trade off of it? No, but I like to see what they're doing. It's kind of like being a voyeur. I'm not saying you trade upon it because it's old information, old data, but it's kind of nice to see what they did. Whatever. By people with less than 10,000. Okay, so here's the wealth pyramid. Share of global wealth. Okay. 52.5% of the world have less than $10,000. Now, this is the one that's kind of interesting. I wanted to show this to you. All right, so this is interesting. So this is the mean average of wealth per adult, and this is the median wealth per adult. This is the average. Okay, Switzerland's #1, US. Australia's #2, right? You got Denmark, New Zealand, Norway. So it's kind of interesting, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Right? France, UK, Sweden. So this Australia is really important. That's why I always keep looking at it. I keep mentioning it to you because it doesn't matter what goes on there. All right, what do we got? China and the US have agreed to pursue efforts to triple renewable energy capacity. Triple? Yeah, we are going to need, and I agree with that. Copper and silver. And that's why I'm in it. Japan is about to another guy. President of China will be shot by China. Anyways, old news. All right, what do we got? All right, so I wanted to show this to you. This is someone who I follow. He basically created a spreadsheet for those of you who are looking for REITs, okay? What they look like, residential, hybrid, commercial BTCs, okay? And then he looks at book values and yada, yada, yada. So, and you can see this AGNC has been getting a lot of, I am in NLY as well. But this is the sort of stuff I'm looking at right now. So, and then you can see her commercial, here's the BDCs. And Maine was actually getting interesting volume. I saw that the other day. And like I said, this is a really interesting spreadsheet if you're inclined. And he basically discloses what stuff he's in. And he does this. And he shares with you what he's in. Okay? Just so you know. I thought that was pretty cool. Baidu cautions on wasting resources to build AI models in China. Biggest stock movers target Zim, JD. Warren Buffett's Berkshire, exits whatever. Nvidia keeps chugging along as C maintains a buy. I think they had 650. Who had 650 on it? Anyways, let's take a peek here. Initiations, we actually have a few. I mean, it's obviously the same person, 65%. A lot of American Express, EGNC investment. And obviously, I talked to you about that. And so it's obviously getting some eyes as well. SLM, so, and these are 65%. And then we got the schlubs down here, 7%. And this will move these names. I cannot explain it to you. I know that Twins has been in that FNF, I believe. Let's take a peek now at downgrades. ENR, Energizer Holdings, Morgan Stanley, BTIG, Biden neutral, no change in price, CSIQ, neutral to underweight. So I mentioned yesterday about SEDG. I don't know. I know that some of you followed me on the 79 calls. We're going to get paid very nicely on that. And we're going to, and you had multiple opportunities to enter it. I'm going to be selling. I'll sell probably 1/2 of it. It'll be up nicely. Fine. Energizer continues, and you can see that. Okay. And I said SEG was the I posted yesterday the stocks that were heavily shorted by hedge funds. And Waltham was number 1, SEDG was number 2. So this is what I do. Upgrades VFC. Wix. I do like Wix, you know that. I exited on there. I did not buy it back though. I should have below 80, but I didn't. So now I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. So I'm just sitting on the hands. You gotta love life. I'm sitting on my hands. Anyways. Holly. This is CNTA, but 32% in VIPs. All right, let's take a look at the breath now. This is why it's really important you understand this, and this is what we're talking about in terms of work, okay? So we finally reached a point in the, 10-day, 50-day, right? With the extremeness, right? The 200-day, right, is right here, and you can see that. XLP, XLU, XLV is still green, right? XLE is rosy, but if you can see here on the front end, right? So we'll see. I mean, this is what you would expect in the front end in terms of a multi-week rally, right? So here you see 4-week high, no bueno here. Okay, above the Bollinger. And this is, this is what we want to see. Okay, and then you can see here, and you can see here. Now, normally, when you had something like this, you would get a reset, but it's basically 1 day. So if you look at the 3 days, it's not as onerous looking, and the 5 days, not as onerous. Okay. And the 100-day, this is what I want to bring to your attention, right? 50-day, right? 20-day, 10-day. So this is not atypical in a bull market rally, right? And it's not, the narrative continues to be if it consolidates in the upper quadrant, the statistical probability of it moving higher is greater. And Keynesian theory 101, don't big touch. You'll go bankrupt. Okay. All right. All right, let's have some fun today. Here's the bonds, yields are up, right? Canada, always up. UK always up, and then overseas, you can see. I still think there's opportunity overseas. I think money will start to rotate over there, and there will be reallocation overseas as they start to come out of their recession. You can see Australia, obviously, and then there's that. All right, 210. We talked about this. Monster move, right? Since end of October. Right? We'll see how it plays out, whether this bounces now. So it's always it's the 10-year. I mean, and I understand that. So here's a three month bill against that. This is what I look at, and I'm watching this right now. And we can't underestimate, obviously, here's the 2.5. Now, I think we stay within this range, but I continue to say, it's we're at such a big pivot, and it's a monthly pivot and a multi-year pivot on the 10-year that we really do have to be mindful of that, right? So when you go back in time. Okay. We still have to basically, right? 1208 and a half. This is 1205 and a half. So what's this low? Is 11206. So you know the drill. Okay. But it's a monthly, so I mean, I'm serious. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Okay. And if you go at the yields, it goes back decades, this pivot right here. All right. So we'll see. Here's the German rates coming back down. We talked about this double top, and that basically it was a false breakout. Okay. Never had well, we did close above it last month, but you can see we're coming right back down. Okay. I'm not sure why my thing has locked up. There we go. It was Discord. Here's the Chinese as well, and then you can see here the new one, right? Let's bring up the dollar. Well, and as you can see here, I told you I continue to accumulate, and I mean, it's working. I mean, it's not sexy, like I say, I do have to put a lot of money into it, but slowly working. I'm not sure I'm gonna, because of what's going on the other side, I'll probably trim some of it because it does, there's so many other opportunities for the next month, right, for us to. Oh, let's take a look. I forgot. I was remiss. Hold on a second. All right, so here's January, here's December. You can see here. Here's November. Okay. Like I say, you want to mess around with it, be my guest. Statistically, you know, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Just that's the NASDAQ. Here's the S&P, November, up and down and all around, right? December. Like I say, it's like I said, I'll probably be using the S&P as a hedge. Okay. And then, I mean, Dow, no. Maybe the Dow I'll use as a hedge. I don't know. And then you have the S&P, and then one. All right, and the Russell starts to get strong in January. So let's take a look at December. It's not as clear cut, right? I mean, like I say, if you tail it, right? But it's kind of fun to look at, right? So okay, China. Cryptos. All right, where's my commodity? Gold is up, silver is up a lot. I continue to add to this AGQ. So just so you know, I mean, but that's just how I will. Copper, obviously. I'm in the copper ETF. Platinum, palladium, natty gas is up, crude is down. So anyways, so let's take a peek. Obviously, we have the numbers out, right? Okay, I didn't see that coming. Okay. So the market should be, you know, well, it's holding its rally. The bonds are selling off a little bit as well. A little bit more of a sell-off going on. Okay. We shall see. BBC, natty gas, crude natty gas is kind of interesting. I'm keeping an eye on this double bottom here. You know, I play this trade a lot. Crude bounced hard, 78.18. We're below it now. So, and then here's gold, double bottom in place. Looks like it's going to curl up and out. We'll see. And here's AGQ. And I accumulated here. Let's see if this works. Okay. What the hell is going on here? I'm not quite sure what's hanging up my system right now. I got a lot of memory on this system too, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. As you can see here, we were higher, we're coming back down a little bit. Overseas markets are doing well, as you can see. Ibovespa, I told you I was in this one. It's up really nicely. I love Brazil right now. We'll see. DAX double bottom rallying. I think we break all these highs, FYI. I think that's what's going to happen here. FTSE, I don't know what to tell you. It's so heavily weighted on the oil side and commodities. Fez, look at that pop, just beautiful, right? So, like I said, I think money is going to be flowing overseas, and it's notable. And I don't have anything yet, but I would probably do the EFA. I am in Ibovespa. I will be adding to my EW. Well, I'm in EWZ. I will be adding to this, friends, just so you know. On that pop the top. There it is. I might be a little bit patient because I got in nice and early on this one. So it's up almost 10%. So I'll probably wait till this. Okay. But here's the this is obviously the Nikkei, right? Look at that, right? So we'll see how it plays out here too. I mean, this obviously is looking like it wants to. Anyways. Hey, Web, double bottom. This is a multi-month. This could be a big move if we eventually move out of this. This is a multi-year consolidation pattern. CQQQ also getting that little bottomish look to it too. PQQ, CQQ, interesting candle right there. I think we actually sideways consolidate a little bit, or we start to see a little bit of a pullback here. Spike CQQQ didn't, so I mean, this could be, in terms of opportunity, obviously, this is saying that China, right? So I am in BABA, Baidu, PDD, the Golden Dragon, I'm in Yen, and I still have my Yang hedge. So obviously important to know that too. So BABA CQQQ coming down. So the CQQQ is starting to outperform. His Baidu double bottom in here. This is when I bought it. I mean, that made the sense to me. JD, I just don't want to touch it. Okay. There's a reason why it's where it's at. And there's a reason why PDD is where it's at. Okay. So especially when you're talking about the Chinese names, you don't want to, I don't bottom fish so much, you know. Anyway, so here's PDD, right? XPEV. Let's see if it flags out. I mean, the earnings, it did pop and then pull back. There was premium that came in yesterday. I mentioned that to everybody. It's pulling back a little bit on the earnings. It popped and then now it's dropping a little bit. Here's a Neo. Bubblicious. You know, I don't know what to tell you. We'll see. But like I say, I'm long it. I mean, I'm not getting you wrong, but I'm not really aggressively long it for obvious reasons. Now, this EM is also very attractive. Okay, and you can see this. This is also a yearly consolidation pattern that's going on. We do have a double bottom. This EM was a record short. Okay, the last month or so. I don't know if they're starting to cover, but no, just something to tell you. XLC, see if we can break out here, right? Meta, right, breaking out. Meta XLC, strongest of the XLC, right? Communication sector. Amazon Meta. Apple Meta. So even within the Mag 7 funds, it does matter, okay, in terms of where you got your money going. Google Meta, right? Meta Netflix, Meta XOT. I'm just saying. Meta Snap. Well, this is kind of interesting, right? Pulling back against Snap. Meta Spotify.
All right, Beth, ready to pop on whatever here.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty, guys, what's up? Let me just pop up the screen share here. We'll get right into it. So if you guys are new to chat and have ever done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're going to pop into chat. So look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do pop in and click on that disclaimer section, give it a read, as well as go to the new to the chat information section. Scrolls to the very, very top. Top of that section, you get a link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, guys. Most important ratio in trading. So definitely worth checking out there in that regard. Continue to scroll down. Summary of how this chat works. Breaks down all the channels work on the left-hand side, so you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. That is important to you in order to look in. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts on the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts from both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Continue to scroll down. Options rules we like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules for the SPX ideas that we have in chat as well. Use every single day. Any with small account, less than 10K, break it down. If you do with a smaller account, less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline that could potentially help you control the risks and increase that account value, in our opinion. And then last but not least, how to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. So pre-market tickers on watch. A couple things we're looking at today: Tesla, SMCI, Target, GNRC, Globe, and SLDP. So Tesla gapping up the market scene with SMCI, Target earnings, BDPS and revs, GNRC upgraded to neutral from underperform at Bank of America, GLBE gapping down on earnings, and SLDB, Solid Biosciences announces IND clearance by FDA for SGT 003, and it's gapping up on that. Alrighty, let me just quickly load the platform back up, and we'll get right into it. Just loading up here, guys. Should be kicked in. Holy, there she is. Awesome. Okay. So first two we're looking at today, guys, gonna be that Tesla and SMCI. Let's have a look. So Tesla, SMCI, both gapping up continuation. Love this Tesla for a break of this range now to the upside, or a push into it, I should say. Not necessarily a break, but let's take a look at that daily chart real quick. So what do we got? So 50 MA reclaim on the daily looks pretty good in that regard. Yeah, it's kind of into like a gap area where it has a decent amount of room. So we use that pivot point, but there's not much here. There's that little resistance at 251. Use that EMA. That EMA. Okay, let's take a look at the signature day here. So pivot to the upside today is going to be that 243.21 levels able to hold. You got room towards 247.25. That level breaks. 251.89 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for pullback into the 240.14 on the downside to 236.83. Going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. And that is Tesla. Let's take a look at SMCI here. All right, SMCI. So into the 300s, nice. 301.55. That's a little resistance right there. 308.24. In my opinion, 319.05. Good. Might keep it resumed out because I don't think we're gonna be able to see the 319s. Oh yeah, we can. All right, pivot to the upside today. 301.55 level holds 308.24, 319.05, unable to hold 292.28. The 280.96 on the downside, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today on this SMCI. We'll see how much fall through it gets. If it starts to fail right out the gate, guys, I think it's not worth screwing around with today. If it does get continuation, it can have another day like it had yesterday. It tends to get direction and then continue the whole day, or it just doesn't go anywhere. So two kind of scenarios with how it trades. All right, the next two we're looking at target and GNRC. Target, beautiful move. Target pivot to the upside today, 125.92 or 125.29 level holds. Room to 128.35 to 132.13. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 121.51 to 118.49 on the downside. Overall on target, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today if the pivot point is able to hold. Let's target. Let's take a look at GNRC. Oh, why I went so high on GNRC, but whatever. All right, so 111.10 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 115.79, 118.54. Unable to hold 107.66, 103.11 downside, leaning bullish neutral there. Looking for a continuation push higher. That is GNRC, and that is target. I'm gonna screenshot these two. Let's move on to the last individual names that we're looking at today, guys. Okay, so last two we're looking at GLB, and then that SLDB. GLB pivot to the downside today, 33.32 levels unable to hold 31.90, 30.20 able to hold 34.55 to 36.04 upside leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower if the pivot point is unable to hold today on that. Let's take a look at SLDB. All right, pivot to the upside today, 266 level holds, 311 to 350. Unable to hold 220, 232 to 204 downside leaning bullish. Looking for a continuation push higher today if the pivot point is able to hold. So that is GLBE and that is SLDB. All right, so let's take a look at the spine of the fang real quick. All right, spine the fang, my friends. Let's have a gander. So market. Let's see here. SPY 451.02 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 453.26 to 456.22. Unable to hold 447.46 to 444.67 downside. Leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if the pivot point is able to hold on the market. I think it looks pretty good for continuation. Just needs to hold that pivot point. And yeah, we can get the next leg up. 451.02 is a big level of resistance on the daily, guys, to get through. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Pivot is going to be very important today in regards to continuation. Apple, let's take a look at this. A bit of a pullback there. Not much, but got 190.40. All right, 188.26 pivot level holds, 190.40 upside, unable to hold 186.62 to 184.40. Going to be leaning bullish neutral only if the pivot point can be reclaimed here. So same sort of situation as the SPY. It's kind of do or die with that pivot point. Let's take a look at Amazon. Absolutely love this Amazon chart off the lows. Yeah. The 147.18 pivot level holds 148.38 to the 150.43 spot. Unable to hold 145.35, 143.85 downside leaning bullish. Looking for a continuation push higher today. It's got a nice range breakout. It wants to push into the top end of the range on that weekly and monthly chart. Retest it, so it's got a little bit of room to go, in my opinion. That's Amazon leaning bullish. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot, we're going to use that 450 362 spot. Levels unable to hold 445.58, 441.25, able to hold 450 362, 458.93 upside, meaning a bullish neutral. Sorry, 450 362 is the pivot. Leaning bullish neutral only if that pivot point can hold. Actually, you know, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more on the bearish side here, so I'll be leaning bearish neutral on Netflix today. Let's take a look at Meta. A little extended to the upside there, eh? All right, guys. Meta pivot to the upside. 340.49 levels unable to hold 338.15 to 335.39 able to hold 343.80 on the upside will be tested, getting the leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower if the pivot point is unable to hold there. So that's Meta. Let's take a look at Google. All right, Google. 134.47 pivot level holds 135.68, unable to hold 133.29. Going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side there as well on Google. All right, so that's the SPY, that's the FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today. Guys, gonna go ahead and pass it over to South Beach while I type up that pre-market action plan, and then we'll do a quick little recap before the open. South Beach, if ready, she's all yours for now, my friend.
Hey guys. Okay, so let's look at technicals. We had a monster day yesterday. We came into the day, we've been kind of bullish on the SPYs and the Qs, less so on the Russell and the transports. So let's see if anything changed. So we have that gap up yesterday, right? You would think that eventually they'll try to fill that gap, I would think, on the daily. We'll see. But by and large, the chart is in fuego. You know, there's no other way to put it. Okay. The 10 crossed back up over this 17 day before yesterday. Well, maybe it was on Monday. And no EMA resistance, only support, and looks like next resistance on the weekly is like the 460 level, I would say. After that, it's 480. And I do think they filled the gap. I'm just not sure when. But chart looks very bullish. All right. That brings us to the NASDAQ chart, which has been the most bullish, right? You never had an EMA cross on the downside. It broke on the weekly, hit the 50-week moving average and bounced right off of it. Chart is super. Broke through resistance. You do have that gap that may need filling, you know, at like 380-ish. But other than that, it looks pretty fantastic. Okay. Let's look at the ones that were more troublesome. Let's look at the transports, which were down 6% maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe. And then they had an up 7% week, and then you brings us to now. All right, so EMA support on the weekly. And excuse me. It's right at resistance on the 10 and 17 week moving average. So any move up from here, they'll get through that. And it looks fairly bullish, I would say. Okay, and that brings us to the one that's been kind of shitty, which had a real good day yesterday, the Russell. So it went from no EMA support yesterday to complete EMA support on the daily. The weekly, it's now moved above the 10-17 week average, but it does have, you know, fairly significant resistance a little above these levels at the 180 level, then 182. If it got through that, guys, it's in bull mode again. So charts are very constructive, okay, no matter how you slice it. All right, so that's the charts. Now let's look at what got us there, right? So we had that CPI number yesterday, and the bond market yield just collapsed. And it was pretty much across the board. Not so much on the really short-term paper, you know, the 6 month and 1 year, but like the 2 to 30s, they were down almost like 0.2, which is just an enormous move. I think earlier in the week, the twos were trading at 504 or something like that. They closed it last night at 481. They're pushing 490 now. So we had a big reaction down, right? And you can say, you know, excuse me, because of the numbers that came out and because people don't think we're going to get another raise, I am in that camp. Have been in that camp, but rates bouncing back a little bit. I don't think it's really that significant, but right now the rate move is for lower rates. Okay, now, you know, just to be totally see things the way they really are. Okay, 2 weeks ago or so, when these yields were moving to higher levels, we had pretty much the who's who of investment savants coming on and saying, U.S. debt crisis, rates are going to stay up because the U.S. needs all this debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and what happened? The exact opposite, right? So at the end of the day, you listen to what people have to say, you put it in the back of your head, and you trade what you see. Okay, we never got a sell signal in the S&Ps nor the Qs. We had a sell signal in the Russell for sure. And these guys temporarily or so, or maybe permanently, were dead ass wrong. Okay, so trade what you see, trade accordingly. Don't put your eggs in the, oh, he's smarter than I am basket, and play it that way, because even and the truth of the matter is, guys, they were all saying the same thing. Okay, so that's what you got to, don't get hooked into that Wall Street nonsense where you are trading what you hear and not what you see. Okay. Anyway, rates are up in the US, a bounce back based on the move yesterday, like 20 handles. In the 10-year, it's up 0.6. So a little bit of a bounce, but it is what it is, right? Of course, looking over in Europe, rates are a little higher in the UK, and basically the Euro countries are more or less flattish as far as their bond market this morning. Okay, and if I wanted to see what the inversion is, not that it's that significant, I would say, here is it, 39. So exactly where it was yesterday. Commodity market, oil's down this morning. So it's that 80 level has been which was support, is now serving as significant resistance. Natural gas is up a little bit, so it held that $3 breakout. And we'll see where it goes from here. Gold, silver, copper, all up a little bit. Copper kind of in the trading range, more or less, more than less. And gold, after a little weakness, is starting to move back up. And these agricultural commodities are really insignificant at the moment. We did have a big move in the dollar yesterday on the downside. The dollar's mixed against North America this morning, up against the yen, up against the actually flat against China, but we were trading at 7.29 yesterday, or 7.28, down from 7.30 where it was for a while, and now we're at 7.24. So that's a pretty significant move for currencies. So the Chinese currency is strong against the US. The euro's up in the 108 level. It's been trading at the 106.7 level for a while, so a little bit of a breakout there, and the same with the pound. Okay. 124, even though they're down slightly this morning. It looks like they're breaking out to me, but we'll see. Okay. And that's the currency. Crypto, we had a really nasty day for crypto yesterday. They were down about 5%, more or less. Bitcoin's up 2.5% this morning. Ethereum's up 2%. And the Solana, which didn't go down yesterday, and I keep talking about, is up another 12%. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. All I know is it was $17 a month and a half ago, and now it's 62. So if you're in it, kudos to you. If you're not, you're not. All right. This morning, foreign markets, we got the FTSE up 1%. We got the DAX up 0.6. Over in Asia, we had the Nikkei up 2.5%. We had China up 0.5%, and Hong Kong was up a little bit shy of 4%. Taiwan up 1%. So there's your backdrop. Okay, so banks and Fed, we have two Fed governors speaking today. All right, the odds right now, it was 80-30. Sorry, it was like, what was it? It was 80-20 yesterday going into the day before the numbers came out. And now the odds of an increase have gone to no increases, 95% versus 5% who think there's going to be an increase. So that's a pretty big shift. All right, so that's the banks and the Fed. China and Russia we'll discuss in a moment. Crypto we discussed. Mr. Market yesterday. I mean, it was just a gangbusters day, right? Best day in S&P since April. NASDAQ was up, 2% or so. Pretty special day. A lot of stocks did really well. As far as groups were concerned, I think it was more, everything did pretty well. Retail had a good day. Banks had a good day. High PE tech had a good day. FANG, it wasn't an outstanding day for FANG, but they were still up. Solar had a decent day, actually better than decent. These little REITs, the Vornados and the SPGs, they had a real good day. And the only thing that was really on the sell side actually was Bitcoin, which is had a great move. So that's that, right? Okay. Now let's see what else we got today. All right, so we have mortgage demand highest in 5 weeks. That was looking at last week. So now with rates even lower, I'm sure the demand will go up somewhat. Last week's rates were at that 761 level. So this week will probably be slightly shy of 7.5, down from like what, 780 something. So that's a positive, I guess, right? China and the US are meeting today, Xi and Biden. So supposedly what will be discussed? Climate will be discussed. Fentanyl will be discussed. And military communications will be discussed. What won't be discussed? China's military buildup, their desires to control this whole South China Sea, their stealing of IP goes unabated. The fact that they still have eyes in taking over Taiwan. Nothing of any consequence, unless, you know, you consider the environmental thing consequence, and we've had deals with them before and in environmental, and they don't live by the rules. So will they change? I have no idea. Xi has really proven in the past he doesn't give a shit about economics. But the fact of the matter is their unemployment crisis is a real problem for people under, for younger people. So it prevents marriages, it prevents a lot of things, okay? We'll see. I think it's going to be like just for show. I mean, nothing substantive will be discussed at this meeting. So hopefully, I would really like to be wrong about that. All right. Nikki Haley was on TV this morning, guys. I don't know if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't know if you're liberal or conservative. And the fact of the matter is, I don't really give a shit. But you should listen to her interview. Okay. I've voted Democrat in the past. I voted Republican in the past. But when I look at the candidates, I think you should listen to what she has to say. Okay. Does she have any chance against Trump? Probably not. But I'll tell you something. Listen to what she has to say, even if you don't like her. Okay. She is one smart cookie and she has the goods. So just do me a favor and listen to the woman. Okay. And I don't care what you are. All right. But I think Kamala Harris is a little, let's call it too young, not experienced enough. If she were to become president, that's my problem. And Trump, everybody has a little bit of issue with. Some do, some don't. She may be a viable candidate. She probably doesn't have a chance, but I think she's worth listening to again. And I'll move on from that. And if you don't want to listen, you don't want to listen. That's fine too. Google's antitrust case will continue. They're focusing on this deal with Safari, where they get like 33% of the take for, I don't know, it's a whole mess. But anyway, this Google antitrust case continues, and we'll see what happens with that. All right. The Russia-Ukraine war has definitely ramped up since the Middle Eastern thing took hold. I think that Biden is using the focus moving away from Ukraine to get very nasty there. Ukraine is pushing into occupied territory for Russia with thoughts of, people think they may even try to go after Crimea. At the end of the day, guys, it's a very nasty situation, and it's getting more nasty when people aren't focusing on that war, because now they're focusing on the other war, which is Israel, which is another complete mess. So geopolitical tensions are up, and the stock market at the end of the day is flipping on the bird. That, there's no other way to slice it. For now, until something changes, the stock market doesn't give a shit. All right. So there's no, I'm just looking at the market and what the market's telling me. They don't care. All right. The war started. It had a little bit of a a trip because it was a new variable that they had to take into consideration, and then they went about their merry way. None of these participants for now are big clients of the US, and it doesn't seem to affect earnings or interest rates. So we move on. So today is the 15th. So all the 13Fs must be filed by, I think, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So we got a few of them in this morning. Highlights would be Buffett basically raised cash because he sold a bunch of things. He sold General Motors and Celanese. He sold some UPS. He sold some J&J. He reduced in Amazon. He reduced in HP and Chevron. He reduced in, what is this, Procter, I think. And he added a little bit in some of these Sirius radio names, LLYVK, SIRI. And he intimated that he is buying a secret stock that he's not willing to tell yet. He's the only guy that has an exemption from the 5% rule. So he can go over 5% of the stock and not have to file a either a 13D or Q. So he petitioned a while back and he got his request. So who knows what he's buying? I have absolutely no feeling either way. And but he did say he is buying something. So I thought that was interesting. Jamie Dimon met with Nikki Haley. He discussed that, and he's saying he really is always pouring cold water on anything that's kind of sort of positive, it seems. People overreacting to short-term numbers as far as interest rates are concerned was one of the comments he had today. All right, so he always seems to be on that side of the ledger. And I guess when you're a risk manager of a big bank, you always have to look at the glass as half full. And probably that served him well over the years, if you think about it. All right, that LA freeway fire, I don't know what's going on in LA, but I've been to LA gazillions of times, and the traffic is bad on a good day. So without this, God knows what's going on there. I'm sure it's a shit show. And I don't know how long it's going to take them to rebuild, but it's problematic for sure if anybody lives there. They say it was arson. I have no idea. Target had numbers today. Nice beat there. So Target off to the races today. And Citibank is beginning their layoffs. They're basically going to pick certain businesses and they're going to lay off about 10% of the people in those businesses. So Citibank's starting to get some religion. All right, on individual names. Let's see. Earnings wise that were good was DAVA and Target and JD. American Eagle was good. It had an upgrade. These are the names we really don't trade. GT, CEO is going to retire. That's up on that news. CHGG has a buyback. Nike raised their dividend by 9%. Man U, you saw Cooperman bought a position yesterday that was in his 13F. On the downside, you had GLBE, AAP, VREX. These are, look, we're XPEF. At this point in the cycle, guys, by and large, the number of significant companies reporting, meaning significant stocks we trade, are really low. So we have the target really is probably the only one that's really significant. Market wise, we'll see if they fill that gap. Market gapping up nicely. We'll see. I still continue to like tech because lower interest rates benefit them the most, and I like banks and all these tertiary names, safety names I don't love so much. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm going to pass it over to Spartan, and let's have a good day, guys. Spartan, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, South Beach. Morning, guys. What's up? What's going on? So if you guys are new to chat or you're done, so make sure you click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Pop in chat. It looks something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, click on that disclaimer section, give that a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top of the section, see a link to the disclaimer, as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, most important ratio in trading. So definitely worth checking out there. Continue to scroll down. We have the summary of how this chat works, breaks all the channels work on the left-hand side, so you can properly navigate the chat through the day. That's important. So you know where to be looking. Continue to scroll down. We have the how to read alerts and the options and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below that, the options rules that we use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. SPX rules that we use every single day right below that. Continue to scroll down. We have anyone with a small account, less than 10K, breaking down. If you do have a smaller account, less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place. You can better manage your account. And then lastly, how to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective, just breaking down how to, basically overlay your own ideas. Stuff of things that do make sense. All right, let's take a look what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things that we're looking at today. Pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got? So a couple things. Let's just pull that up. So we're looking at Tesla, SMCI, GNRC, Globe, SLDB. So Tesla gapping up and sitting with the market. SMCI gapping up and sitting with the market as well. Target earnings beat EPS and revs. GNRC upgraded to neutral for underperform at Bank of America. GLBE gapping down on earnings. SLDB, Solid Biosciences, announces IND clearance from FDA and gapping up on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. Intraday. 1 second. All right, let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint. So first two we're looking at, guys, Tesla and SMCI. Let's have a look. So Tesla 243.21 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold 247.25 to 251.69. Unable to hold 240.14 to 236.83 on the downside. Overall on Tesla, going to be leaning bullish. Looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. Let's take a look at SMCI. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 301.27 level hold 302.24 to 319.05. Unable to hold 292.28 to 280.96 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral there as well. Let's take a look at Target and GNRC. Target, GNRC, Target 125.29 pivot, level holds 128.35 to 132.15. Unable to hold 121.51 to 118.49 downside, leaning bullish neutral there. GNRC pivot to the upside today is going to be 111.10. Level holds 115.79 to 118.54. Unable to hold 107.66 to 103.11 downside, leaning bullish neutral. Let's take a look at the Globe and GLBE and SLDB. GLBE 33.32 pivot, unable to hold 31.90, 30.20, able to hold 34.55 to 36.04 on the upside, meaning bearish on that. SLDB 266 pivot, level holds 311 to 350, unable to hold 232 to 204 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral there. Let's take a look at the SPY and the FANG here. So market, guys, what do we got going on today? So the SPY. So SPY 450 102 pivot to the upside today, in my opinion. This level holds room higher into the 453. Whoops, I didn't mean to enter. 453.62 resistance breaks. We see the 456.22 tested. Pivot, unable to hold. Room lower into the 447.46 support. Breaks, we see the 444.67 tested. Meaning bullish neutral. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the FANGer. So Apple, guys, pivot to the upside today is going to be the, and like I said before, guys, pivot super important on the market today. If we can't hold it, we're going to pull back a little bit. Apple pivot 188.26, level holds 190.40, unable to hold 186.62 on the downside, meaning bullish neutral only if pivot can hold there. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon pivot to the upside today. The 147.18 level is able to hold 148.38 to 150.43, unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 145.35 on the downside, leading bullish neutral only if pivot can hold there. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 453.62 level holds 458.93, unable to hold 449.74 to 445.58 downside, leaning bullish neutral. Let's take a look at Meta. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 340.49 level holds 343.80, unable to hold 338.15 to 335.39 downside, leaning bullish neutral. Let's take a look at Google. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the 134.47 level holds 568, unable to hold 133.29 downside at leaning bullish neutral, or sorry, bearish neutral on that if the pivot's unable to hold. VIX pivot to the downside today. I'm going to flip over the daily just so you can kind of see all the levels. 1390, unable to hold 1325 to 1267, able to hold 1494 on the upside, leading bearish neutral there. QQQs pivot to the upside today is going to be that 387, 59 level holds 389, 86 to 391.29, unable to hold 384.49, 381.23, leaning bullish only if pivot can hold it on that name to the upside. And last but not least, guys, SPX 45.12 level holds 45.43, unable to hold 44.92, 44.70 downside. Again, leaning bullish only if that pivot point can hold. So should be an interesting day. We'll see what happens in regards to obviously market pivots are going to be extremely important today, especially on the big caps. And yeah, we'll kind of see what happens from there. If you guys join us on the YouTube stream, thanks for popping in. We do that every single Wednesday. We stream every single day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So come join us and chat. You can do so. Go to SpartanTrading.com and we'll see you there.